Good morning, Shalom. This is the Morning Moment, a segment here with Following Him, the Disciple Life, where we talk about all kinds of things. One of the things intended by these segments is to do our best to have a disciple perspective, which is to say a Christ-like, Christ-informed perspective on things going on in the world. And we have this incident that I am finding out about. I found out about it pretty late last night, at least pretty late for me. I'm a fairly early riser, so I'm commenting on this morning, but I was just finding out about it. I'm still finding out more details. Happened in a suburb of London, Golders Green, I believe is the name. And there were two stabbings. And it looks like, from what I can see with the video footage, there was some attempts at other stabbings. The assailant, I believe, is a 45-year-old man, doesn't seem to be in the best of shape, and so it looks like some folks were able to outrun him. An Islamist, a Muslim man. Not, and once again, this would not be to say all Muslims. I mean, I disagree with the theology of all Muslims, but not to say all Muslims would do this sort of thing, so don't misunderstand mentioning that. But ideology likely had, or it's very plausible, had a role to play in what's happened. The two men that were stabbed were Jewish, and some of the other people he was attempting to get were Jewish. So this does seem to be spurred by their Jewishness, that they were attacked because they were Jews. And so this would not just be somebody being randomly violent, this would be somebody targeting Jews. Now, inevitably, what we're going to have happen, and I don't think I've been on X yet this morning. I'm trying to learn to put that off because it's not a great way to start the day. But inevitably, what you're going to have happening is you're going to have people saying things like, too bad he didn't get more, or you're going to have, and on Facebook, even this sort of stuff we're seeing. Somebody will put something about the attacks, and somebody will put like laughing emojis. Somebody will claim, that this was something that Mossad planned, and you're going to have all sorts of reactions. What is a disciple's reaction to this? It's horrible. That's what my reaction. Do my best to be informed by Christ's word. That's my reaction to it. This is horrible. This is atrocious and appalling. Even if somebody were to take the most egregious, radical example of somebody that is religiously Jewish, and their community has them too. All communities have their radicals. Some seem to have more than others. I would submit that in the Jewish community, this is not as common, but you will have some that will say atrocious things about Christ. You have the incident with the IDF soldier that it's not AI. It really did happen. Somebody defacing, Christian imagery, and we could get a debate as to whether or not that image should exist or not. Not the point. It seems to have been an effort to deface something that, at least in his mind, he associated with Christianity, and that many people in their mind associate with Christianity. I'm not saying we need to put statues of Jesus in our places of worship. That's actually not something I would support. But they're out there. They do exist. But even if you take that most egregious example, the teachings of the Messiah is to love your enemies. So let's say that these men, a 76-year-old and a 34-year-old, and last I checked, I started this live stream and then I stopped it because I realized I hadn't checked their condition. From what I can see, they're stable. Our prayers are with them. Our prayers are with them because the teachings of the Messiah would be to love your enemies. So now I don't know much about these men. I do believe they're Orthodox Jews. I know they're Jewish, and the people I've seen in the footage of this seem to be religiously Jews. I mean, they have the kippas, the yarmulkes that they're wearing, and so seem to be observant Jews of some sort. But let's say that these men were the sort of religious Jews that would make a point to, say things against Jesus and to say things against Christianity. Okay, I wouldn't agree with them doing that. I don't agree with blasphemy. I disagree when somebody says that he was not the Messiah. Jesus of Nazareth most definitely is the Messiah. I think he's God when I say he's the Messiah. I think he's the Son of God. I think he is God. I think he is the Word that was made flesh. I think all things were made through him, and without him, nothing was made that was made. But you know what? I am secure enough and established enough in that faith that I'm not going to call for harm to somebody because they disagree with that. That is not how the kingdom is spread. Read Jesus' statements to Pilate around about John 18:36. His disciples, they didn't fight because his kingdom is not of this world. His kingdom doesn't function like that. And so, as a disciple of the Messiah, my thoughts are this is horrible. And my prayers are with these men. And we need to be awake and aware of what is going on right now. You have, now, once again, not all Muslims. Let's not go to the other extreme. I'm not one that would advocate, like, some would advocate kicking all Muslims out of the United States and such. I would stand against that. I would speak out against that. But there is definitely a strain of Islam that is radical. And we have people that will do harm to people because they're Jews. And when you have people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson that are doing what they can to build a certain amount of fervor against Israel and against the Jews, and maybe not doing it to the degree that some would, but there is a group even among the right. There's definitely those on the left too, by the way, but you have like even these on the right that are kind of, the whole just asking questions thing and the conspiracy theory constantly about the Jewish people, that this constant push that kind of take Jewish people to cast them as being this like underlying evil in the world. It's wrong. And it leads to this kind of thing. And most definitely the more militant forms of Islam do lead to this sort of thing. Ways of thinking have consequences. And so, we want to rejoice in truth. And the truth is not rejoice in this truth, but as those that have love, like Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 13:6, we rejoice in knowing truth. And we're gonna understand the blessing of that. So as an advocate of truth, we need to be aware of what's going on right now. There is a group among us that will attempt to kill people because they're Jews. And this is wrong and evil, and we need to call it for what it is. We need to be light amid the darkness. And this is part of the darkness. This is of the evil one. So let's stand for the light and follow his ways. You have a good rest of the morning. Lord willing, be with you here in a little bit for Thursday Thoughts and also for the midday moment.